All right, let's get right into it. Today we're taking a deep dive into Baton Rouge, Louisiana, looking at it through the writings of Wellington III Publishing. And what they show us is a really complex city, one that's kind of caught between this deep shadow of violence and this really persistent ray of hope. So we're going to break down their work and try to understand this duality. Wow, this is the very first line from one of the source articles, and it just hits you, doesn't it? It drops us right into the grim reality for so many people in Baton Rouge, a place the author literally calls the city surrounded by death. It's such a stark, personal way to start this whole story.
So, to really get the weight of that opening quote, we've got to look at the big picture first. The source material from Wellington III Publishing gives us some pretty hard data that helps frame the city's struggle, giving us that bird's-eye view of the crisis.
33. According to the police data the source material points to, that's how many homicides happened in just the first 3 months of 2024. And you have to remember, that's not just a number, that's 33 lives.
Now here's where that number gets even more jarring. As the source material highlights, 33 is more than triple the number from the same time in 2023. So this isn't some slow increase. We're talking about a huge and really alarming spike in violence. And it's not just about homicides. The author points to this really sobering statistic. In Baton Rouge, your chance of being a victim of either a violent crime or a property crime is 1 in 14. Just think about that. It makes the danger feel incredibly personal and way too close to home.
Of course, when things get this bad, you'd expect a big response. And the sources do note that law enforcement has really stepped up its game. In that same 3-month period, police made over 800 felony arrests and got hundreds of firearms off the streets. They're also teaming up and creating new units just to deal with gang-related crime.
So here's the thing. The numbers, the stats, they tell one story, but they can't capture everything, can they? The writings we're pulling from really push us to look deeper. What's the human cost here? What does it actually feel like? Let's zoom in from the citywide view to something much more personal.
And that brings us right down to the ground level, to the personal journey of the author from Wellington III Publishing. This is where we shift away from anonymous numbers and into a raw story of survival, drawn straight from their own life.
The author talks about being caught in that classic trap, the appeal of fast money that leads to this endless cycle of a quick high followed by being broke again. They talk about just feeling stuck, like being on a treadmill you can't get off of.
And you can see from this timeline, which is laid out in the source material, just how that cycle got worse and worse. The need to get by led to a violent fight, and then a moment that changes everything. The author gets shot. You'd think that's rock bottom, right? But it wasn't. The spiral kept going down, ending in serious legal trouble, and ultimately prison.
But this is where the story takes this incredible turn. That lowest point, a prison cell, becomes this totally unexpected place for a profound transformation, a complete metamorphosis.
I just love this quote from the author. It completely reframes the whole idea of prison. It wasn't just punishment, it became an unprecedented space. The very concrete walls that stood for failure and degradation somehow became the foundation for a brand new start.
So how in the world does that happen? Well, the author breaks it down into 3 key stages. First, just being alone, away from the chaos, forced them to finally face their own inner demons. Second, they stumbled across some books about the universe in the prison library of all places, and it just sparked this new curiosity. And finally, writing. Writing became the tool they used to make sense of it all and build a new path forward.
It's kind of like alchemy, taking all these negative, heavy things and turning them into gold. Struggle became resilience, pain became passion, and that desperation that drove them on the streets, it turned into a powerful desire for knowledge. It's just an amazing testament to what people are capable of.
Okay, so let's zoom back out. How do we connect this incredible personal story of hope with the tough, complicated reality of Baton Rouge itself? How can both of these things be true at the same time?
This slide really gets to the heart of what the Wellington III writings are all about. On one side, you've got the shadow, a city that feels like a tragic testament to human suffering. But on the other side, there's the light, this belief in pockets of life, and this idea that the city still holds this potential for beauty and happiness.
And speaking of those pockets of life, the author points to something huge, the city's incredible, influential rap scene. I mean, this place is a powerhouse, producing artists the whole world knows, from legends like Boosie Badass and C-Lock to modern superstars like Youngboy Never Broke Again.
Now, the author makes a really important point here. It's so easy for people to blame the music for the violence, right? But they argue that's getting it completely backward. They say these artists are just reflecting the reality around them. They're storytellers, rapping about what they see on an everyday basis. The music isn't the disease, it's a chronicle of it.
And that really brings us full circle. This final thought from the author just wraps it all up. Despite the scary statistics, despite the personal struggles, the story of Baton Rouge and the author's own story is one of earned optimism. It's this belief that even in a city full of shadows, every small victory, every single life saved, is proof that the light and the chance for change is never really that far away. And it kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What will it take for that potential to finally be realized?